ROTC rifle drill flag of the United States of America.
For those of you who have been out of school for a while, the words will be on the screen.
Please remain standing and join the AHS band in the national anthem.
Good afternoon and welcome to Arcola Junior Senior High School. We have a fantastic assembly planned for you today. But as we celebrate, please remember that each of the veterans and military personnel seated before you, as well as thousands currently serving around the world, have made great sacrifices for our freedom, so that we may be here today to honor them. To kick off this year's assembly, the AHS band will march with the armed forces. Veterans, if you are able, please stand as you hear your march play. Ms. Nickerson, take it away.
an assembly is difficult to plan. A good idea doesn't always come easily. We realize that the main point is always to honor our veterans, but still we want them to enjoy the afternoon and maybe be entertained. But this year, the good ideas started with a few teachers attending a conference back in the spring. Then continued with an email from Dr. Robert Errol and the VFW, and was then pushed over the top by a former student of AHS reaching out with a great idea. This year will be unlike any assembly in recent years. We have some amazing guests here to share their talents, commitments, and thoughts. So let's take this year's assembly off by welcoming the University of Illinois Airport's ROTC Rifle Drill Team, Tanya Sinha, Samuel Kelly, and Oscar Policio, and our fullest own 2016 graduate, Corinne Carmazinas.
alumni come back as but Corinne's idea to bring the drill team down from the U of I was amazing. We think it shows just how much we are taught to value our veterans, our COLA, and even an alum thinks of ways to contribute to our program. We know maybe someday one of you will come back to be a guest at this assembly. Now we know the drill team has to get back to U of I for afternoon classes, so thanks to you once again for taking the time to join us today. Corinne, don't be a stranger.
So we've seen one great idea that wrote itself into today's assembly. Now let's take a look at another idea that practically wrote itself.
Although this one could have gone wrong very easily.
In April, Mrs. Jones and Miss Coombe were accepted into the Marine Corps.
Well, they weren't really accepted into the Marines. It was more like a trial period.
A 5-day experience in San Diego at the Marines Corps Recruit Depot.
Why? Why on earth were the Marines want Mrs. Coombe and Mrs. Jones?
The USMC Educators Workshop is designed to put teachers, coaches, and administrators through a mini taste of what it is like to be a recruit. It is important for the teachers to help guide us in our life decisions, to have a better understanding of what some of those decisions, like joining the military, really involve. So for 5 days, they were up early.
Seriously, don't feel bad for them. They were in California.
Taught to march,
I would have loved to see that.
did some PT, otherwise known as physical training,
Mrs. Jones tried to tell us she carried a Marine that went to a football field.
put on combat assault gear, and ran into the obstacle course with rifles and bayonets,
Did they hurt themselves?
and also met some of the finest and bravest military men and women this country has to offer. They learned a lot about the military and what it can offer a recruit, which they can now share with us.
So, who was this fearless leader that braved taking Mrs. Jones and Miss Coombe to San Diego to see if they had what it takes to be a Marine?
Major Nicole Bastian of the USMC St. Louis Recruiting Station. Major Bastian and her Marines have traveled from St. Louis today to help us honor all veterans, especially those here with us today. Please welcome Major Nicole Bastian.
She just said there's gonna be more free cake later. Well, first off, I want a round of applause for our incredible band here today. They were really quite spectacular. I was a trumpet player too, so you never know what you can grow up to be, right? Yes, there will be some recruiting. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me. I would like to just thank you for the opportunity to be here. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to our veterans and those of you who patriotically support our veterans and our nation. Since the founding of our nation, brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces have risked and sacrificed so much to secure peace and prosperity for their fellow Americans. Each year, on 11 November, we pause to reflect on service and the sacrifice of those who defend our way of life. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the fighting of World War I ended in 1918. Due to the conclusion of the war to end all wars, November 11th became a universally recognized day of celebration. Then 8 years after the end of World War I, the day that was became originally known as Armistice Day. Later in 1954, it would officially become Veterans Day to honor all veterans, not just who served in World War I, but veterans from any war. On this day, we honor all military veterans with the respect and the gratitude they so richly deserve. Veterans are men and women who unselfishly place their lives on the line for our freedom. Those men and women were ordinary people. They were high school students once too. They went to football games and classes. They had goals. They had normal lives. They had jobs. They had a paper route. They were just like you and I. Until they heard the call, or were first forced to go and serve their country. And they did. And they left their families, and they left their homes, and they left their lives. And not for the recognition or fame that we honor and bestow upon our veterans today. They fought to protect our country. And they fought to help us all maintain our way of life. If you are a veteran here today, I ask that you please stand if you're able, so that we may recognize you with a round of applause. Veterans? That means I didn't like it very much. I had a military family, 2 grandfathers in the Navy, my dad was a Marine, and I was at a commissioning ceremony for one of my very best friends from high school. And she was commissioning into the United States Navy to be a nuclear engineer. She was way smarter than me. I helped write her papers, she helped me with math. I was at her commissioning ceremony, and there was just something that day that spoke to me. And I knew when I left that day that I needed to be something more than just a lawyer. No offense if you're a lawyer, but I needed more than just being a lawyer. So like many of you, my friend and I have been raised in just normal, average American families. We have been raised to put others before ourselves. We've been raised to be loyal. We have been raised to seek justice. We have been raised to be dependable, to act with integrity and initiative, and to be enthusiastic in any job we did, no matter what the job at hand was. So for me, military service just seemed like it was the thing I was meant to do. It seemed like the right thing to do, and and it seemed like what I owed the country. So I thought that I would go in for 4 years. I thought that I would scratch that itch and just kind of enjoy 4 years, seeing the world and the challenge, being part of a team. I thought that I would enjoy leading Marines for 4 years. And here I am, 15 years later, still in uniform. And make no mistake about it, it's because I love being a Marine. And there's no better job that I can think of than leading Marines, than leading the finest Americans we've got to offer. So it just made sense for me. Service is far from easy. I'm not going to sell you a rose garden. As President Ronald Reagan once said, some people go their entire lives wondering if they've made a difference. Marines don't have that problem. When I left for my first deployment, my daughter Ava was 2.5 years old. And leaving her and my husband felt like having all the oxygen just sucked out of my body. It was hard. It was really hard. To leave your young child as a mother, as a parent, and to go to the other side of the world. The only way I could explain that to my toddler at the time was, Mommy's going to fight the pirates. And Ava says, just like Peter Pan, you betcha. Just like Peter Pan, going to fight the pirates. My husband at the time was a PGA golf professional. That means he plays golf for a living. He obviously is smarter than me too. He took on 100% of all the things that there were to do around the house. He took on all of the roles of making sure that our family remained intact. And meanwhile, I set off to the other side of the world for Operation Enduring Freedom in the Horn of Africa, in a place called Djibouti. The capital city of Djibouti is also Djibouti. So I was over in Djibouti fighting the pirates. So while I was over there, where we were really combating was a problem in Africa with a group called Al-Shabaab. They were terrorist organization, and they were recruiting a lot to do bad things in the world. And we were over there to combat piracy, but we were also over there to bring basic human needs to impoverished African countries. And one of the basic human needs we brought was medical care. So I'm going to share with you a small story about one of my favorite projects when I was in Africa, and that was setting up an eye clinic. So we were in a very, very remote part of Djibouti, and we set up a very makeshift medical clinic. And we worked with a group called USAID and a couple other not-for-profit groups to bring in medical doctors, optometrists. And there was a scientist who had recently invented a pair of glasses that had lenses that filled with liquid and little levers on the side of the lens. And you would adjust the lever on the side of the lens, and it would set an instant prescription in about 5 minutes' time. People walked for 3 days across deserted Africa, very barren land, and women and children waited in lines for 3 days to get fit for eyeglasses. And while I was working on that project, just as a Marine, I'm not an optometrist, I have no medical skills whatsoever, I can put a Band-Aid on pretty good, but that's it. Just being out there, serving the country, serving my country, bringing basic human needs to other people, I got to watch children have the world come into focus for the first time. That left an impression on me I'll never forget. You can watch someone see in focus for the first time. And our hope in doing this is that that young child who got to see for the first time will remember the kindness of the U.S. service members over there. They'll remember the unity, the camaraderie, all the things that the service members brought to their area that made life a little bit better. And maybe, just maybe, that young person who we fit for glasses will grow up, and when it's time for them to be recruited by the bad guys, they'll say, you know what? It's not for me. And success in a mission like that is very hard to measure. Because 20 years from now, when that young person is military age, we won't know if they join the pirates or not. But it's that little seed of hope that we plant all across the world. And that's what I was doing fighting pirates, right? That was a little bit of the effort, a little piece of my military history there. You know, in many assignments, following deployment, the hours have been long, the stress has been high, but the privilege to lead Marines is like nothing else, and I'm honored to do so. And as it turns out, if you haven't figured it out already, my name is Nicole and I'm an addict. I am absolutely addicted to this challenge. I am addicted to helping people, and I am addicted, absolutely addicted to being part of something that matters. The freedom we enjoy is extremely special. That's no surprise to any of us. And for freedom like that, we have to defend it. It's the only way to keep it. So today, while we're definitely calling to mind our veterans, I would also like to pose a challenge to each of you. Today, I'm going to call on each of you to step up and to take part in protecting freedom too. The defense of freedom is not just for those in the military. Each of us as Americans share that duty and responsibility. You don't have to join the military to actively defend our way of life. You can protect our freedom by maintaining it here in America. So, as we all work together to preserve our freedoms, consider taking actions like voting in elections, guarding against injustices, volunteering in our communities, teaching our children what it means to be an American, supporting veterans groups, veterans helping other veterans, or if you are still of military age, and that's under the age of 28, consider serving in our armed forces, whether on active duty or in the reserves, taking a college scholarship to do ROTC and become an officer. American veterans have had a tremendous impact on our country, resonating all over the world. Our men and women in uniform today continue to build on the illustrious heritage of those who have gone before us. As we commemorate this day and pay special tribute to our veterans, let us draw inspiration from their service and honor the sacrifices of their family and what they have done for our nation. Thank you. Thank you for honoring our veterans today. Let us walk toward tomorrow still honoring them by living the freedom that they so nobly protected. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. The Marines will be standing by afterward for anyone who is interested in more information about the Marine Corps, the reserves, taking photos with us, because we look pretty good, or just general greetings. So thank you very much for having me.
Major Bastian, we appreciate that you drove from St. Louis in this harsh weather to be with us today. To show our gratitude, we would like to present you with this football playoff t-shirt. You may not know, but our football team will be competing in the state quarterfinals this weekend. We would love to see a few Marines cheering us on.
And now it is time for our favorite moment of the assembly, the moment when we introduce our guests of honor, those veterans and troops who were able to make it here today.
Each year, we ask our guests to sign in at the door so that we do not leave anyone out. If we accidentally leave someone out, please know it is accidental. It is our intent to honor all here today, who will also be reading the names of active military members who are not able to be here with us today, or in honor of those who have passed away.
Veterans, please stand or wait as we call your name according to your military branch of service.
We will now honor those who have served in the Army. Jesse Adams. J.D. Strader. Larry Kahn. Bob Kuhn. Terry Ladd. Archie Edwards. Ralph Hughes. James Graham. Nathan Truess. James Samuel Graham. Bruce Todd. Doug Myers. Don Edwards. Robert Catherwood. John Geis. Dakota Hopkins. Zach Zero. Aaron Huffman. Larry Johns. Butch Union. Dave Smith. Curtis Adams. Jerry York. Tony Blanchard. Paul White. Betty White. Jenny Johnson. Gerald Bauman. Kyle Taylor. Eli Capil.
We will now honor those who have served in the Navy, starting with Lowell Berkeley. Derek Woolridge. Howard Estridge. Jerry Stepbro. Fred Shields. Ken Reveal. And Bobby Credit. This is
We will now honor those who have served in the Air Force. Chad Van Deer. Mark Baylor. Dennis Williams. Jeff Matthias. Mike Butler. Robert Carroll. Cody Martin. Karen Carolina ROTC. Kristen Allen. Catherine Martin.
We will now honor those who have served in the Marines. Bryce Hubbard. Benjamin Cordiero. Alan Schrader. James Sykes. Lynn Calhoun. Zach Luciano. Joey Wanamaker. James Thorne. Paola Mendez. Matthew Lucas. We will now honor those in the National Guard. Jody Hubbard. Trent Conlon. Tyler Conlon. Pamela Kelly.
since the Marines who came with Major Bastian were busy and didn't get signed in, we'd like to introduce them as well. So go ahead and say it when we get ready.
Private Omar Cortez. Private Lucas.
Sergeant Stillway.
Sergeant Frank.
Gunnery Sergeant Myers.
Please welcome our Nicole High School chorus as they sing American Heroes, a medley of the different marches of each branch of the military. Veterans, as your military marches play, please feel free to stand in tribute to your branch's service. The men and women you serve with and today's troops who protect the freedom we hold so dear.
Did you know that the proper and respectful way to retire an old flag is to burn it? According to the U.S. Flag Code, the flag, when it is in such a condition that it is no longer a fitting emblem for display, should be destroyed in a dignified way, preferably by burning. The Flag Code does not actually give specifics on how to destroy the flag. For the past month, we've been collecting American flags around town that are faded, torn, or otherwise unfit to be flown. We are pleased to report that we have collected over 100 flags, which will be respectfully retired from service in the future. We had originally planned to have our full VFW hosted on the serviceable flag ceremony, but due to weather, we have had to postpone that to a later date. We will keep you posted on social media and in the newspaper when we will reschedule it.
And now please welcome Alice Reese of the Ladies Auxiliary, who would like to say a few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are here today to honor our heroes, to remember their achievements, their courage, and their dedication, and to say thank you for their sacrifices. Thinking of the heroes who joined us in this group today, and those who are here only in spirit, a person can't help but feel awed by the enormity of what we encounter. We stand in the midst of patriots and family and friends of those who have nobly served. I would like to honor our service members and veterans who are here today. Thank you for answering the call of duty. You have made our armed forces the most respected in the world. Now, I'd like to go one step further. I would also like to honor all family members of any service member here today. We know you have lived through difficult times and often taken the heavy load to keep the home fires burning. Thank you for what you've done. The service members we honor today come from all walks of life, but they are shared in several fundamental qualities. They possess courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to duty, and integrity. All the qualities needed to serve a cause larger than oneself. Many of them didn't ask to leave their homes or to fight on distant battlefields. Many didn't even volunteer. They didn't go to war because they loved fighting. They were called to be the part of something bigger than themselves. They were ordinary people who responded in an extraordinary way. They rose to the nation's call because they wanted to protect a nation which has given them and us so much. Since the first shots of Lexington and Concord was fired and our Revolutionary War began, American men and women have answered to our nation's call of duty. Millions of Americans have fought and died on battlefields here and abroad to defend our freedom and way of life. Today, our troops continue to make the ultimate sacrifices. And even as we lose troops, more Americans step forward to say, I'm ready to serve. They follow the footsteps of generations of many fine Americans. Veterans Day, originally called Armistice Day, was originally designated as a day to celebrate the end of World War I. The First World War ended November 11, 1918, and the legislation that created Veterans Day was, and I quote, dedicated the cause of world peace and to be hereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. As time went on and we engaged in further conflicts during World War II and the Korean, veterans groups lobbied for a change. Rather than honoring the armists and only those who served in World War I, the holiday would now honor all veterans from every war and conflict the United States had encountered. We honor our troops and their service and sacrifices ever since. We have awarded medals to many soldiers, added their name to monuments, and named buildings after them to honor them for their bravery. But nothing can ever replace the whole left by the fallen service member, and no number of medals and ribbons can comfort the ones left behind. Today, people throughout the country will gather together and remember to honor and to pay gratitude to those who have served our country. Our gathering is just one small spark in the flame of pride that burns across our nation today and every day. It's not a lot, but it's one small way we can honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can live in freedom. Your presence here today and that of people gathering all across America in a tribute to those lost troops and to their families. It is a way to say, we remember. From the soldiers who shivered and starved through the winter of Valley Forge, to the doughboys crouched in the muddy trenches of France, and to the platoon who patrolled the hazy jungles of Vietnam, and the young man or woman patrolling the mountains of Afghanistan, we remember and we honor them all. Thank you for attending today. God bless you and your families. God bless our troops and God bless America. Thank you.
Once again, it has been our pleasure today to honor the men and women who sit before us and those who could not join us. From new father, USMC Zach Mutry, who will be deploying soon, to one of the Marines' newest drill instructors in San Diego, Ben Renegero, our Cola Purple Riders continue to serve our country, and that is worthy of tribute. We keep them all in our thoughts and prayers, especially the families of our fellow Purple Riders who paid the ultimate sacrifice, including Marines Alan Roberts and James Geis.
Please don't let this be the only day out of the year where you think of veterans. Veterans deserve our gratitude every day. This assembly is just a small token of our appreciation. Please join us in closing this assembly with a traditional playing of taps. But please, out of respect for tradition and symbolism of taps, do not applaud